Race 1 of the BMW IBSF two-man bobsleigh World Cup. We're in Yanqing in China, the 2022 Winter Olympic venue, on a cold and blustery day here, about an hour and a half north of Beijing, the Chinese for northern capital. Beijing in the northwest of the country, in Yanqing, just about 90 minutes from there, just past the Great Wall. So 11 sleds from 6 nations competing in the two-man competition. We will have a double four-man weekend as well. First heat saw a bit of a log jam just outside the podium positions. Mickey Vogt of Switzerland with regular brakeman Sandro Mickel. Good start, 4 fastest at 5:07, and all 3 Swiss sleds had great speed down the track. He kept it nice and clean. Little mistake on the exit of the Kreisel. Came ahead of the log jam for 4th and 5th by 0.4 of a second. He's in 3rd place. And we have 2 German sleds at the top of the pile out of the 2 that are here. And Francesco Friedrich, the Olympic two-man champion with Alexander Schuller behind him, is in 2nd position. He's 1300ths ahead of Mickey Vogt, but he is chasing his teammate Johannes Lochner. Lochner with Georg Fleischhauer. Again, a new combination since the Games. Hansi, who was the silver medalist here in the Games and is the reigning World Cup and World Champion in two-man, has the first heat lead with a 59.18. Fast start, best top speed at every speed trap, and the fastest run down the track. Hard to argue with that. That's a great loosener for the day and for the season. And 3200s, it is possible that Friedrich will find a big slice of that and Hansi will waver, but Hansi didn't particularly look under pressure, and Friedrich made a couple of errors that will probably end up being tidied up. So the 11 sleds will go in reverse order of their first heat performance. As we say, they go last to fast, and that means that it will be Markus Treichel of Austria who is first out on deck. So air temperature hovering around 0, ice -7. That's a very cold, hard ice. Fleischhauer, the former German team 400-meter hurdler, has been quite a revelation coming in. There's Alex Schuller and there's Francesco Friedrich with the beanie hat on. Everybody warming up in this multi-storey start building. Great facility here in the Yanqing track, the track known as the Dragon's Tail. So here's our start list. Markus Treichel, Jakobs Kalender of Latvia, and teammate Emil Tsipulis. And then as we get down into the serious business, a 3-way tie between Patrick Baumgartner, Li Chunjian and Simon Friedli. A few hundreds ahead of them, Cedric Follodor and Mickey Vogt. Second heat, race 1 of the BMW IBSF two-man bobsleigh World Cup, kicked off by Markus Treichel with Christian Huber behind him. Nice load, but a skid. Treichel trying to run a little further. They were the slowest of the starters, and unfortunately that tiny little tap on the wall taking out valuable early speed. Out of corner 2, relatively straight, the first danger zone. Sweeping out of the right-handed corner 4, just avoids the tap on the exit there as well. And then right-handed corner 6, uphill chicane 7 and 8, left corner 9, big 45-50-degree corner into the Kreisel. This is corner 11, 360-degree corner. Tap on the exit. Didn't get too much of a skid, had a bigger skid in the first heat. Climbing out of 13, 14 and 15, dropping down and back up into corner 16. Last turn on the track, avoids the wall, 60.09. Well, that's much better than his 60.31 in the first heat. If he'd managed a 60.09 in the first run, that would have left him in a 4-way tie for 5th position, rather than languishing in 11th. And a 5.13, 600ths quicker at the start, but he gets in, drops in, doesn't have his hands on the D-rings as the drive lines that control the sled in a straight line at the start end, and they just skid wide into the wall. And here out of 16, out of 13, beg your pardon, dropping down, just rubbing the wall on the exit. Well, better second run for Marcus Treichel. He'll have a little bit better speed at the start, perhaps in the four-man rather. Jeks Calendar with an 800th of a second advantage. Dubs Kaufmans, who is back on the back handles of the sled, spent the last 3 or 4 seasons driving, and pretty successfully as well. But pushing here. .511 compared to a 5:12 first start. So that puts them a 10th up in total over Marcus Treichel as they sit down, losing a fraction of that back. He was only 800ths up from the first heat, so he needs to try and hang on to that, but he's not. He's losing ground to Treichel. He's going to drop back at this rate. Latvian sleds had good speed at the bottom, but so did the Austrians. Little wavy there. Up to the Kreisel we go. Second best speed. He's behind. He's in the red. Needs to be super clean out of here. Isn't. That's going to further compound his problems. Speed will drop away. Treichel a full kilometre an hour quicker, which doesn't sound like a lot, but is. 131 to 131.2, so he's got good speed at the bottom. Not enough. 60.37. Sanders Crucis, the coach, watching there. So he had a 60.23 in the first heat, a 60.37 in the second, off a start that was a whisker quicker. And in the first heat, they also skidded and hit the wall. Oh no, that wasn't them, was it? That was the other Latvian sled. That was Emils Tsipulis. A big skid here, and the sled gets sideways, the runners get sideways, drags the speed out of it the same way as it does when you put a ski or an ice skate sideways. Or for that matter, a racing car tyre. If you get sideways, it slows you down. Yeah. Okay. Back tomorrow for four-man, the first of 2 four-man races. One Saturday morning, one Sunday morning here. Okay, so here is the second of our Latvian sleds. Emils Tsipulis with Mats Miknes behind him. 1300ths of a second in hand over Marcus Treichel, the current leader. They need a tighter start here. Ooh, rocking and rolling off the blocks as Miknes tries to really put some heft into it. Tsipulis has his hands on the D-rings this time, leaning the sled into turn 1. Turn 1 is right there at the end of the start ramp. Out of 2, big skid. Late pressure into 2/10 from 1300ths up. That's courtesy of that bigger start that they have, a 5:08. I think he's going to lose some of that back. It's already down to 1800ths. Treichel second heat was definitely better. And again, Tsipulis not as quick. Half a kilometre an hour down. Oh, tidy enough out of the Kreisel. Second best speed, should hold on to his lead. It's going to be slender though, very slender, only the third best speed. No, could be going away here from Tsipulis. Is Treichel going to lead at the line? He does not. 60.19. Okay, so 60.18 in the first heat, 60.19 in the second. Off the start, it was 300 slower. Just maybe a step less from Emils Tsipulis, or maybe 2 less, to make sure that he got in and had the sled under control. Yeah, he shakes his head, a couple of little errors crept in there. And this is, yeah, can do without that. That's off 2. But again, out of the Kreisel. Pretty clean, but then he's on the wrong side, taps as he comes down into 13, and out of 13 rubs the wall just before you start to climb back up through 14. There is Emil Tsitsipas, Mats Mix on the left-hand side. So they have the lead from Marcus Treichel and Jakobs Kalender. 3 down, 8 to go, and the first of our 2 Chinese sleds. This is Sun Kai-chi, the man who had the honour of getting the season underway. Finished 14th in the Winter Games here in 2022. And for a young athlete, what an opportunity that must have been. Chen Heng is brakeman in only his 4th two-man World Cup start. It's only the 9th for Sun. 5:14 getaway, 400s back then. They started 5:09 in the first heat. So is that a little bit of nerves creeping in? Oh, and a long skid off too. Come on, you know this track inside out. He's getting nervy. Or he has got nervy. A little tight. I think it's just the lights and the cameras and being on an international stage again. Made his debut in Calgary in the World Cup in February 2019. At the end of the pre-COVID season, Chinese team with Pierre Lulus were training in North America for months. Finally made their World Cup debut on the North American tracks. So one of the last men to race in Calgary. 60.62, drops to the tail of the field. It's a little bit of a disaster for Sun Kai-chi. He was in 8th place and is currently 4th with 7 to go. Not the best second run. That's one that would have been best left in training. So see as he loads, driver usually have their feet either on just on the tiny little seat back or on the seat itself, and then they have to squeeze them in around the bungees that hold the D-rings. Exeter 2, the mistake that everybody makes when they're new to the track. He's not new to the track. Better out of 13, but then he made a tap on the left-hand wall going into 14. Okay, so next up, Patrick Baumgartner of Italy in a 3-way tie for 5th place after the first heat. And if he could seal that 5th position, that would be his best ever World Cup result. In fact, if he doesn't fall behind our current leader, Emil Tsitsipas, he will tie his best ever World Cup result at worst. But he has fallen behind, 5:21 start, compared to 5:15 in the first heat. So maybe the start track is getting a little sticky. We'll see what the others do. Bringing it back to 600s back. Italian sled had good speed. That's a neat, tidy line. 1:18.1, best speed of all so far. Here we go, Patrick Baumgartner. 21st, missed the final heat in the Olympic Games here 2 years ago. Still got top speed, easing away. He was 900s ahead of Tsitsipas from the first heat. This could be 14, 1500s, 1900s, 60.09. There you go. So the Latvians leave the leaders box. Too many l's in that sentence. Latvians leave the leaders box and the Italians will move in. So Patrick Baumgartner, the first ever youth Olympic champion in boys bobsleigh. And in fact, the only man who finished on the podium, or the only boy who finished on the podium in the first YOG Games in 2012 in Innsbruck, who is still competing. Who were the other two? Well, the silver medalist was the now retired Benny Meyer, and the bronze medalist, the now retired Rudy Rinaldi. Unless Rudy's unretiring again. He's definitely not here anyway. There's Patrick. And the Latvians wishing him well. He leads, 5 down, 6 to go. Second of our Chinese sleds, Li Chunjian, with Wu Jingzi behind him. And Lee finished in 22nd place in the games here. The 27-year-old in his 16th two-man World Cup race. And Wu in his 6th. Wu predominantly the brakeman for Sun Kai-chi and competed with him in the games. And then last year he was put behind Lee. He's helped Lee start. 7th best start at 5:10 in the first heat, 5:15. So they again are slower. And the fresh spritz helped Marcus Treichel go quicker. Jakob's calendar was just about even, and everybody else since then has been 500-600 slower at the start. Lee with the lead over Baumgartner, and they were tied to the 100th at the end of the first run. From 700s to 200s, he's tied now. Hasn't got the speed of Baumgartner. In the red. 600s back, slower sled, second slowest sled. Only Sun Kai-chi is slower. This is not going to please their Latvian coach. 4th best speed, 2/10 back, so he's down to 3rd place, 4th place at the moment, 3rd best speed. Not going well for the Chinese drivers. 4th at the line, 60.36, and Baumgartner leads with 5 to go. Patrick Baumgartner's best ever World Cup results, a pair of 7th places in Sigulda in Latvia in 2020 and last season. With 5 to go, he leads. It is a World Cup best ever two-man performance at the moment from Patrick Baumgartner. Wu not in pain, but getting himself psyched up. It didn't help, I'm afraid, that the start track does appear to be a little frosty. And look at that big skid. That was all at 6s and 7s. Zigging when he should have zagged, as they say in Lake Placid. Yeah. Well, you don't need to speak Chinese, you could read the face. Chris Woolley at the front of the sled for Simon Friedli of Switzerland. Luca Rolli behind Friedli. Friedli for brakeman turned driver in his 40th World Cup start, his 26th as a driver. 5:08 in the first heat. Ooh, a little wriggle, 5:07, there you go. They've got the power to overcome the ice at the start. So he's in the green over Patrick Baumgartner. Skid off 2. 2200s up. That's courtesy of their 1400ths of a second faster start. The rule of thumb in bobsleigh is a 10 at the top is worth 3 at the bottom, but the gap's coming back down. Uphill into 9. Gap is dropping. He's still just in front. Does not have the speed of Baumgartner, though. This is looking very good for the Italian. Very good indeed, and not very good for Simon Friedli. Big skid off the cradle, and he's going to sink like a stone now. Was second on the splits, might end up 5th, maybe just ahead. Jakob's calendar, 3rd at the line, 60.30. So Baumgartner and Mercia stay in the leader's box, and Simon Friedli slips to 3rd. Patrick Baumgartner leads, 4 to go. We'll take a look at the load. Again, just a little twitch sideways out of the drive lines, but Friedli had that. Here's a real big skid. Look at the way he's dancing with the runners, trying to keep it off the wall and straighten it up. Out of 13, neat and tidy, but again, the tap on the left as you climb up the hill. All taking speed out of the sled. Patrick Baumgartner, the race leader. 4 sleds to go in first race of the BMW IBSF two-man bobsleigh World Cup in Yanqing in China. And Cedric Follador, the second of our Swiss sleds that were all in a row. 5th, 4th and 3rd. Cedric Follador with Dominic Hufschmidt behind him. Follador's birthday is tomorrow. This is his 8th two-man World Cup start. Only a second for his brakeman in the two-man. Neat load and disappears. They've definitely been working well. 5:18, same as their first heat start. And 300s quicker than Patrick Baumgartner. They had 400 on him from the first heat, so they've added to that. Oh, big hit off two. I mean, that's a really solid hit when the speed is low. And they're only doing about 45 kilometers an hour there. That's really going to hurt already. He drops into the red. Patrick Baumgartner having a big day here. 5th best speed. Volador is going to be behind Friedli and Schreichel. Should still be ahead of Lee Chunjan, but not by much if he rattles the wall anymore. Oh, and he hits it again. 6th place, 60.43. Now then, top 4 results for Patrick Baumgartner. He has come out of the blocks in the two-man this year with his best result so far in his career. Cedric Volador drops back, and Strick 3,800 slower on that run. If Mickey Vogt in the 3rd and final sled does that, then suddenly Baumgartner's in the medals. The double tap, nose and then tail, kicks the tail out, and again here, look at that, hung up really late. Big skid, look at the runners, airborne, all 4 runners airborne there, and then down from 13, starting to climb up to 14. More hits than Elvis. Right. Well, bit of sympathy there from Seaman Friedli. At least Friedli's ahead of him, so he can afford the sympathy. Mickey Vogt, Sandro Mikkel. This is Switzerland's 18, 4th place in the games here 2 years ago. 5:14 start, 5:07 in the first heat. 3rd place after the first of our 2 runs in the season opener. Little tap out of 2. And look at that, 6/10 up. It's going to take something to give this medal away. Cleanly out of turn 4. Big sweeping curves here. Only hemorrhaging a little bit of time, just a tiny bleed. Ooh, little tap coming down into the Kreis. Better speed than Patrick Baumgartner. Don't think Baumgartner's going to get a medal out of this. Decent exit from the Kreisel. Came off on the wrong side, but came off straight. Speed's enough. It's going to be a medal to open the season for Mickey Vogt and Sandro Mikkel of Switzerland. And across the line, 59.91. Well, Patrick Baumgartner and Robert Mattea, little ripple of applause for Vogt Mikkel as they leave the leaders box, with Baumgartner and Mattea both having their best ever World Cup two-man result. In the medals, pretty straight, little tap going into the Kreisel, but it was very slight. And Mickey Vogt had the speed in hand and had the time advantage as well. Not too bad out of 13 to 14. Kept it off the walls.
Yeah.
Baumgartner and Mattea offer their congratulations. Good day for them, good day for Mickey Vogt and Sandro Mikkel. They lead. 2 to go. And the battle of the Olympic champion and the world champion. Olympic champion Francesco Friedrich with Alex Schuller behind him. 33-year-old driver, 26-year-old brakeman. 5:03. You can always guarantee that there is something more from Friedrich. Better out of 2, avoids the big tap. A tiny little touch on the wall. Little tap there going into 4, sounded like it. Ooh, little skid from 4 to 5. 3,200s up. He only had 1,300s over Mickey Vogt from the first heat. He was 3,200s behind Johannes Lochner. So this is a big challenge. 2,800s up. The gap's coming down a fraction. But 118.2 is as quick as anybody. 124.5, a whisker quicker than Baumgartner. Vogt was fastest at the bottom. The gap's coming down. 132.8, good run from Friedrich. This will be as quick as his first. 59.50. No, 59.76. So 2,600s slower than his first. He's just trying to get a little too much control in the sled. Well, he's not going to be out of the medals. He is the leader with 1 to go. Alexander Schuller at the back there. This is his 21st two-man race with Francesco. In the previous 20 races, he's had 19 medals. Only in January 22 in Sigulda, when they were 12th, has he not been on the podium in a two-man sled with Friedrich. And Friedrich looking for two-man win number 47. Is that coming today? Well, whatever it is, it will be his 70th two-man World Cup medal. Yes, we've been on medal count again with Friedrich this morning. Johannes Lochner and Georg Fleischhauer of Germany. First heat lead, 3200ths of a second for our world champion in two-man and our two-man World Cup champion. The Bavarian with a hand advantage and looked absolutely in top form. 5.04. Gives away one of the precious hundreds to Friedrich at the start. But look at the way he comes off too. That was cleaner again than Francesco. 3,200s up, 3,200s from the first heat. Little tap from 3 to 4. Starting to climb again and then drop back down. Little skid. Gap's going to come down. Was 4,600s. 118.1, better speeds than we've seen from almost anybody. 125.6, quicker than Friedrich. Gap's opening up again, 5,500s. This is a runaway win for Johannes Lochner. He'll open the season with gold. 59.46. And that is victory over the Olympic champion on the Olympic track from 2 years ago. So Hans Lochner, the Olympic silver medalist, becomes a World Cup gold medalist on the same track. And he and Georg Fleischhauer start the season with a win. And the first to congratulate them, of course, is Francesco Friedrich. There's a happy Hansi. And double four-man races coming up as well. He looks in excellent form. And the FS sleds are clearly absolutely flying. Angermeyer, by the way, the sponsor, they make Tracton, not tractors, Tracton, which are traditional Alpine clothing, lederhosen. So Johannes Lochner and Georg Fleischhauer start the season with victory. 3,200s up after the first of our two heats and 6,200s up after the second. Lost out to Francesco by 100th. They outstarted him by 200s in the first heat, so Francesco turned over that by a 300ths of a second. But still, Francesco Friedrich in second. That is still his 70th two-man World Cup medal. But for Johannes Lochner, it is two-man win number 12 in World Cup races. Our World Cup champion starts his title defence with victory. Well, that's a good start for Hansi and the big man Georg Fleischhauer.
Yeah.
So we'll get a chance to see them in four-man action on Saturday and Sunday as well, as long as Georg can get in the sled, that is. And the World Cup standings after the first race of the season. Next one will be in 3 weeks in Plagne in France. Hansi Lochner, the leader, from Francesco Friedrich and Mickey Vogt. Patrick Baumgartner, fourth in the overall standings after his best ever World Cup race result. Congratulations to him, and congrats to Hansi Lochner as well. And the two Chinese drivers, Li Chunjian and Sun Kai-chi, really disastrous second runs from both of them. Hansi just got married in the autumn, late summer, so congratulations to him on that as well. Yeah, get the jackets on, they're getting chilly. And that is it. First two-man race of the season is done. Don't forget, Friday is a busy day on the track. At 1400 we begin our Skeleton World Cup season. That's 0600 GMT, 0100 Eastern. We'll see you then. Until then, from me, Martin Haven, it's goodbye from now. So, Peter, I guess you're not set up for me.